Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So, by popular demand, we are going to do a Let's Colour from Jash Lee's Fantasy Collection. Now, at the beginning of the month, I started recently to do a Shop My Stash video. And my Shop My Stash video is where it's a bit like, the to be coloured for the month, or the what's in my colouring bag video for the month, and I kind of go through with you guys the pictures and the books I've pulled that I fancy colouring in this month. And this time I asked you guys to vote on which page you like to see the Let's Colour done in, and I'm going to do that each month. So at the beginning of each month you'll see a Shop My Stash video, and if you want to vote for the pictures we're doing this month, then please do so. So this won the vote, and this is the page that we will be doing today. I've decided to use the Brutfuner square pencils because they seem to be just a pencil that a lot of people have right now. And they're very budget, very cheap on Amazon. I'll link the book and the pencils below, but to be honest, you can use whatever pencils you want. Just, have a look at the shades, pick something similar. It doesn't have to be exact, doesn't have to be the same, doesn't even have to be the same page. Colour whatever you want, people. Sit with me and listen to me ramble if you want. Find a page with water on in one of your own books if you like. So we've got this beautiful lady, and I thought we'll make a start with the background water first. I've already picked out colours for my water, colours for her top I think, and her hair colour in the pencils, and we'll see how far we get. I've got two lots of colour for the water. I've got these two aqua green colours, 057 and 083, and then I've got a blue trio as well. I thought I'll mix it up a little bit, and this is 037, 035 and 087, so that we can have some different colours. Pretty sure that's a volcano in the background. Do we think? It's not a wave, is it? I'll decide what I want to do with that when I get to it. So we'll start with the dark blue trio first. I'll do some as always, and then come back once finished. So we'll start with the 087 darker shade, because I like to colour backwards, and we'll pick a patch and we'll make a start. So for me, this is foam, so sea foam, top layer, and it would be white. So I'm going to add my depth and shadow just underneath that dark foam layer there. I'll very lightly, I might add like a little bit of, not a cream, maybe a bit of my pale blue or something into that sea foam later, but I will of course very lightly blank those lines out with a white gel pen. So I'm just going to add some shade just underneath where that foam is kind of folding back over itself, where the waves are breaking. I'm going to add this layer. As always, we're dark to the edge, and then we feather that out so it'll blend into the next layer. They don't blend very much, rather than kind of sit next to each other, these kind of pencils. So you have to create that kind of lesser layer where the two colours will sit on top of each other in the middle and give you the appearance of that blend. I'm going to bring that right along, really darken up underneath there, and then just reduce my pressure and fade that out. Well, it's easier if you break it into sections, so we'll work on kind of from this foam layer to the next. To be honest, after that everything's rinse and repeat. So a nice dark line up to that foam layer, and then just blending that out. Now the way this picture is done is really two parts. You've your background water and then her completely out of the picture, because as you can see her leg actually sits outside of this little globe. So if you're going to kind of take it that way, then she's not within that picture and she won't cast, you know, you wouldn't have a shadow in this water from her at all. So you can actually treat them like two completely different pictures. So we're going to work on our background and then we're going to work on our lady, and the two things aren't really going to have any impact on each other at all, which is a win in my case. That sounds much simpler. Let's do that. So we're just lightening that up as we come out. So we're not, this is not an edge to our picture, we're completely ignoring her. So I've still blended that all the way along where it meets her, nice and light, not adding anything along this line, because it doesn't exist. The same goes for the outside of the circle. You know, it's not the edge of anything, so I'm not giving it an edge by darkening anything and then giving that an appearance of being the end of our water. We're completely ignoring it, almost like it would continue on behind her and continue on past the circle. So I'm going to take my next blue, which is 035, and I'm just going to bring that into that blue. I'm not pressing on, not putting too much pressure into anything at the moment. We can add some more layers as we go. We just want an idea of what we're doing so we know how it looks. Just bringing that down somewhat. Yeah, so I'm going to go back in, just redarken this line. I'll be honest, I was mainly checking I liked my colours, but yep, that'll do. Don't test them on your page, people. Right, so now what I'm going to do, because to be honest, the illustrator's done a lovely job for you, and most of your kind of ideas of shade are in the page, which you can't really ask for more than that. So where these little lines are, I'm going to give some definition just underneath that line, because I'm actually going to probably white those out later. It looks nice with water, does that. So just underneath the line, some darkness, and then I'm going to, again, we're going to fade that out and in. So you end up with almost a triangular shape. So darkness below that line, fade it out. And now you can see why every page takes me forever, people. Too slow. Right. I'm using all the lines the illustrator's given us. Why not? It's up to you what you do with your splash. I might even just use a white gel pen later. I'll decide as I go. It doesn't have to be decided yet. We'll leave it blank while we're not sure. If you ever mulling over something, just leave it. Go do some, you know, do a different bit, come back to it. We'll add all this darkness in. Blend it down. Just checking where my foam bit begins. I think is kind of there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we'll continue on. Trying to keep my fingers out of the way, but old habits die hard. Okay. Ooh, see, every time. This is why I colour up here, there's carpet. I don't break my pencils. Right, so we're going to go to that second colour again, the 035, and just bring that in around that blue. Now, I'm going to leave some of this middle patch. So I'm bringing it out a little bit more firmly, and then I'm releasing all my pressure, so that again we are feathering into our next layer. Because you don't want that harsh lines everywhere unless you've done it on purpose. So just feathering that in real light. Because it is Amazon paper, it's not going to let you play with layers all day. So you have to create that yourself by just laying just a little bit of pencil down. So you'll see I'm just leaving a couple of little patches, and then I'm going to come in with my pale colour 037. Now if you wanted to be really clever, you could leave some of the middle of this white. But I'm not that clever, so I could, but I don't know. I think I'd be there all day and I'm not sure. I'd probably just put a bit of white gel pen in later and call it happy. So we're just now bringing that lightest blue into everything. And that's giving us just that little bit of brightness in the middle, a bit paler. Now if you want rid of some of that white tooth, you're going to have to layer back over that with a bit of pressure. So then I'm going to go back to my middle colour, 035. I'm going to work that around that pale colour, blending everything in. Adding in the kind of shape that I want it to be as well. So it looks almost, you know, water's very fluid, there's no corners to water. And then finally back in with that dark blue 087. Putting those shadows back in, just darkening everything up, fading it in, even adding some in where we feel like it might look good. I'm not giving shadows to her at all, we're ignoring her. All of mine are going across. We're using the waves in the water for ours. Okay, we have made a start. Colour on the page, first bit, done. Now if you don't like the little bits of white that you get with Amazon, you could use a blender pencil, but of course it changes the tone. You can use Zesty. If you use a real little bit, it will kind of, you know, you'll have to let it dry and things, but it doesn't bother me. The texture's not a problem for me. You could take a white. Do I have a white out? If I'm going to blend with anything, I'll usually use a white of my ideally a Prisma white is works really well, but you can use a white from your set. They're not always brilliant whites, but I think they just create a bit less grey than the blender pencils tend to, and you can just go over your lightest section. I wouldn't go all the way into the dark because I don't want to have to redo all that darkness again, but what it will do is it'll just blend that in a little bit. and push some of that tooth down. Get rid of some of that whiteness if you hate it that much. Without kind of removing the blue from the colour really. Back in with the dark. Just put your depth back in. And yeah. So like I said, for this form I would probably take my Payless 037 and very, very lightly add in little circles. I'm just gonna give it that little tiny impression of being blue along the bottom edge. Not a lot, just a little. Hardly any pressure. Using the side of my pencil where I've worn it down, so I'm not getting any scratchy lines. Tiny bit of blue, so that when we take our white gel pen and remove those artist lines, I'm going to remove the parts from inside the form as well. You've got that idea of a bit of blue inside it. I would also do this line later, probably, if I needed to. If it's still quite apparent above the darker shade, I'll wipe that out later. I just don't want to do it at the minute because I'm going to be colouring next to it and it'll just start rubbing it all off. So I'll do it afterwards. So yeah, just a white edging. Like I said, if you want to also white out those little splashes where the edge is, just take it away. Cover that line up. Add some white splashes in there. Right, it's up to you if you like to smooth this very pale blue out. You could do that as well. Add some white. Be careful not to smudge the actual, the line art can be, sometimes with a white, this kind of print paper, you can smudge the line art into your page if you're not careful. Just go back over that. Right, that is that. So you really are just rinse, repeat, pop your little bit of foam back in, white out the edges, white out your splashes, give lightness into the middle, ignoring her, she's casting no shadow, so it's like she's not there. Your shadows would just be wave to wave along those little lines all the way up and in. So I have my greens, and what I thought, this deeper area here I'll do blue, and then I thought for this higher wave, the shallower water, I'm gonna make it a bit more green. I might add a bit of blue in, but we're gonna make it a bit more green. So I have this 083 and 057. We'll see if it's dark enough without needing any blue. We might have to add a bit of blue, I think, for the shadow. I think that's going to be alone. Too green, right. So decision made. Let's take a blue. I'm going to take the medium blue we have, 035. going to use that for my shadow colour. So I'm going to pop that in underneath all this foam. Got to work at it now because I put that green down. Pop that in there, all my shadow, and then we're going to just release the pressure and feather that out so it will blend into the green. Nice and deep up the top, and just feather that out. And then we're going to take all those lines we've been given again. I'm just going to take the longer ones and add some of that blue. Some of the darker patches, just work that in. Again, I'm then just reducing my pressure. Like that. And then we're going to go back to that darker aqua, the 083. And I'm going to bring that again. I want to bring it down this edge. And from some of these lines and work them out, and some of the darker blue and work it out, using this as my transition colour. Because I'm crazy and I like to make things hard work for myself instead of just picking blue. So we're creating the illusion of depths from these lines with the darker colours. And then in this section we're going to take the lighter aqua colour 057 and work that over the top. Of everything. I'm not bothering going around these because I'm going to wipe them out with the gel pen. So we'll go back to that deeper blue, the mid-tone blue that we had from our set. We'll pop that depth back up there and continue on along a little now that we've done that section. Well, I'm glad I like the colours, seeing as we chose to do this on camera. And just, same as always, dot by the line, feather it out so it'll blend, work our way along. Here, I'm going to come all the way into here, and then where this is underneath this way, I'm going to add a bit of darkness all the way in there, a bit of blue. There we go, little C shape there. And again, just blend that in a little bit. And pick out some of these lines in the blue. I turn my pencil, you'll notice. I do that so that I get another point without having to sharpen my pencil every 5 seconds. Right, back to the darker aqua, the 083. Pick out the rest of the lines. Now obviously I'm not putting blue above the foam because it won't be in shadow, but I am going to use some of my darker green, I think. Bring that in from the blues. And then just going to remove some of that excess. I don't want to catch it with my hand. And then come in with my paler green, aqua green, you know, the 057, and pop that in. Back in with that blue just to deepen it in the top and make sure it's blending into the next colour properly. Add a bit of that blue, because it's over the green it'll only do it lightly now, so I can add a bit of that blue to that green in there. So that back edge. Yeah, I'm happy with how that's turning out. So underneath the foam in here, remember we're ignoring her and her, well, rather unusual ball. We'll come deal with that problem later. Like it's not even there. Bit of blue under that foam. Pick out some of these lines. Blend it left. And then the darker aqua, work that over the blue and left. Again, lighten your pressure, blend it out, fade it through. I think I'll have a bit there. And then the palest tone, I'm going to pop that over everything. Same direction, so I'm not blending it into itself, just smoothing it over. To be honest, that would only be a big concern with Prisma. These kind of pencils won't move that much. Going to deepen that up just along the edge of that, and then work to blend that in a little bit because that's a bit harsh, so I'm just going to actually bring it further out. to smooth it in. Just add more blue, not the end of the world. There we go. Okay guys, hope that was self-explanatory. So again, I'm going to take my gel pen and we're going to white out all those splashes. And of course for my foam, I'm still going to go with that very pale blue. I'm just going to basically give the, just pick out parts of the foam just to add a very light splash of blue, leaving some of it white and some of it just adding some blue. And again, just taking my white pencil and then just trying to avoid the line art so I don't smudge it, but just using it to blend in some of that blue. It'll make it just look a bit smoother for you. And again, any harsh lines to that, you can just add some more blue and blend it out until it disappears. And then, to be honest, I'd probably not white out. I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't white outline anything until you'd finished your picture. I'm showing you as I go along, so you've seen that section done. But really, you're better off doing all your pencil work and then doing your little bits of foamy white gel pen patches, because it's just easier and cleaner and you don't mark things. So yeah, that is that. I would do just exactly the same thing for the rest of the water. I think we've probably got enough time to do her hair as well before I go away and finish all that up. So I've picked out 4 different colours for her hair. I've got this brownie colour, like a reddy brown, 021, a kind of a yellow ochre kind of colour, 092, a bright yellow, 002, and then this more kind of creamy yellow, 090. And what I'm going to do with that, with a very, very short point you want for hair, you can't do this with a really soft pencil either, to be honest. I always pull out some of my firmer pencils to do hair. I'm going to add some of my darkest colour just into the shadows, so kind of where her roots are, where her hat sits, just tiny little slashes in a way, just putting pressure on when you start, and then it's a flick, so you just flick it out and actually take your pencil off the page completely at the end of your flick. Then I'm going to take the 092, and I'm just going to pop that over that one and just bring it out just a little bit more. I'm going to pop a little bit of this in the ends as well. I'm going to take the next one, 002, so this is our bright yellow, and again I'm going to flick that up from the bottom, bring it further in a little. Yeah, put my pencil, hang on, right. Real nice sharp point, just flicking that, and I'm just leaving a little bits in the middle. That's going to be my highlight area. Obviously there's only so much you can do with such a small picture. You know, I'm not going to spend days on it. And then this pale 090, and again I'm popping that over top of everything, coming even further in, and to be honest still leaving that little bit of white in the middle. But bringing it even further in. I considered making her a blonde, and then thought, I think I like the funky idea of her having a little bit of that orangey red in there. Orangey brown, whatever. And I've gone for a harsher look than, you know, if you wanted that to be a bit more of a natural hair colour, you just reduce the amount of the darker colour that you use, and instead of a bright yellow, you'd probably remove it and have just kept the two more earthy tones and a tiny bit of the darker root colour without this bright crazy yellow tone. So again, we'll do this bit here, flicking it out from the base, out from where that darkness has been drawn in. Might pop a little bit in the end. Next colour along, bringing it that little bit further out, still flicking those colours. Tiny bit more of this in the end. And then our crazy bright yellow to make it fun, bringing it further out again. And then our creamy yellow, again further in, but still just got that little bit of white to it, just to really give it that final highlight. And you just, again, rinse and repeat. All the way everywhere. He's given you where the darkness and the light is to make it real nice and simple. Right, so we've got our waves, we've got our hair. Pop those to one side. Now her clothes, I really quite fancied a deep red. So obviously I've got a very dark red 054, and then my truer, still quite a deep red though, 008, and then I've got this kind of baby pink for my highlight, 011. And I will do the top with you later, but for now I think we'll do her hat nice and simple. So same again, let's start with my darker colours. We've got this 054, and I'm going to bring that in from the bottom in this crease line, fade that up and in, and do the same thing again in this crease, just here. Fade that up and in, and the same thing here. Tiny bit. On this far edge, and then this is like a rollover beanie cap, so we're going to have that little bit of darkness just in behind there, and I'm just going to ever so slightly bring that out from there. Now I think this is a pattern to the hat, and I'm considering leaving it white, but I might make it black. I might leave it till the end and decide which colour suits best. So I'm now taking my next red 008, and I'm gonna work that inwards, fade that out, do the same just here. Fade that out, deepen it up, fade it out, and just continue to do that. Bring it in from these folds in here. Nice and lightly. Bit of it in there. And here. Always just fading it out. And then I'm going to bring in my baby pink, and we're going to pop that over everything, using it as my highlight, and also just to meld all those colours together. So a bit more pressure, but I'm not really burnishing my page. I'm just popping some layers down, because I do just want to go back over with those two reds, just to add some depth back in. They really are lovely pencils, these. Lovely so far on the Amazon paper. You can't really beat the price of them, really. Right, so my darker purpley red, just adding that back in, nice and gently, feathering it up and out, just building up that depth. Right, with your second layer it starts to give that proper illusion of shadow, because you've got your other colours in now. Back to my red. bringing it further in with my second layer, so there'll be a bit less of the pink highlight at this point, which that's fine, that's how it works. You slowly bring that highlight in and down. They might end up white bubbles. That's kind of cute. I'll do this little strip with you. So back to our darkest colour. I'm going to pop that in along this bottom edge and along the back. So this is where you can either make this a flat add-on, or you can give it a bit of depth like it's above. So if you add a bit of darkness in there, it'll make that piece stand forward like it's actually in front of everything else. So you add that in, feather that out, and then we go back in along the bottom here. Turn the pencil to get that sharp edge again, and then like a bit of darkness just in here as well. And then I'll go to my red. Bring that out. And in. And up from there a little. And a tiny bit here, I think, as well. For now. And then we'll take our pink over the top of all that. Adding plenty of layers there, so there's not a lot more we can do with that paper. I'm going to add my little bit of darkness back in. Nice and gently. And I'm going to come a little bit further in with my red again. And then this is just going to be nice and red. Now, I'm not sure yet, not really decided, but I'm considering that letter's going to be black, so I'm just going to, again, you would do this right at the end, but for the sake of showing you, I'm just using a black fine liner. Any will do. Could even use a colour if you liked. Just to bob that J on there. And because I think I'm going to leave these white, I'll probably leave that square white as well. Just so that she matches. Right, as always, I know it's not a lot, guys, but I hope that's been useful. Before I do part 2, I'll finish the waves and her hair. I'll leave the rest of her clothes because I think that would be more interesting to show you rather than just leave it at that and then leave you to do the clothes on your own. So the waves, I think it's safe to say that you just copy that entire thing all the way around, and I'll finish her hair, and that will be it for part 1. I hope you found this enjoyable, guys. These Let's colours can be a bit hit and miss. Some people seem to like them and most people don't. So if you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up so I know if we're going in the right direction. Please subscribe if you like the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.